I'm joined by Susannah Reide, who is the college chaplain. Hello, Susannah.
Hi, Ashley.
Could you start, Susannah, by telling us a little bit about what being the chaplain of Harris Manchester involves?
Yes, it's a wonderful job where it's got lots of aspects to it. Partly it's being available to anybody in college who just wants to have a chat about things, and it can be when things are going well or when things are getting a bit rough. And it's one of the, Oxford is a wonderful place, and many of us have really struggled to get here, or it's been a dream for a long time. And sometimes the dream lives up to expectations, and sometimes it misses it a bit. And it's just good sometimes to have someone to talk to. So I'm available, and you can very happy to be booked for a session, and we can happy to speak to people online, or we could go for a socially distanced walk or meet in college. But there are lots of different ways of doing it. So that's part of my role, is being available for conversation. So that's a welfare role. And I also lead and coordinate services in our college chapel, which is one of the most spectacular buildings in Oxford, and I encourage you all to go in there as much as possible. And it's got these wonderful Burne-Jones windows. It's like a sort of a jewel, and the light streams in, and it's a great place to go for peace and reflection. And our chapel is used by people of all faiths and none, and everyone is welcome. And we have quite a wide range of services. We have a welcome service, and we also explore different things. Like in the term, we're planning a service of silence in the Quaker tradition, where people will gather and can wait in the silence for inspiration. So that's a wonderful thing we've been developing recently. And historically, we've had a pet service, which has been a great fun thing to do. I think possibly this term that might be a bit challenging, but I'm planning to do an online version of that. So that's how the chapel's going to work this term, quite a mixture of services in person on a Wednesday evening, 5:15, and then so that will be in the chapel. And then on a Monday night at 8 o'clock, we'll have a service of prayer online, which people can join via Teams, because that's, again, been something we've found very useful in the last few months, a way of people connecting wherever they are. So it's going to be a bit of a voyage of adventure, and partly chapel is shaped by the people who are here in our college each year. And so I want to say to everyone out there, if there are things which you would like to see in chapel, or ways you want to shape our worship and our gatherings, then please get in touch, because I'm keen to hear ideas and want to welcome lots of people's contribution.
Thank you very much, Susannah. You mentioned the idea of the chapel being open to people of all faiths and none, and I suppose that's an area people might be wondering about, if they, they're not particularly religious, or they might be from a religious tradition that's outside Christianity. Do you find that there is something there in the chapel for people in those categories?
Absolutely, and we always have a place where where people can light candles and come and gather, and that's for however you understand your relationship with the divine. And also people are welcome to come into the chapel at separate times. There are particular services scheduled during the week, but there were also times where it's just available for people to come and use it for prayer and reflection as they most want to. And we're also connected with the Unitarian tradition, and at the moment their services are online on a Sunday, part of the Chapel Society of Harris Manchester. So that's another way in which people can connect.
Okay, thank you. And to go back to that welfare role you were talking about earlier on, I suppose many of our students, well, all of our students are individuals, so new students coming in will have lots of different needs or levels of need as far as that's concerned. As I understand it, there are a number of different people they can talk to depending on what their situation is. Could you tell me a little bit about who those people are?
Absolutely. There are people with kind of formal roles, and then of course there's just the people who you feel naturally drawn to as well. So people with a more formal role would include Leslie, our senior tutor, who's very approachable, and you as well, our academic administrator, is a good person to turn to. We also have peer supporters who do an excellent job amongst our student population, and they're another useful source of support.
Great, thank you very much. I think it's worth probably, as we're on the welfare topic, mentioning that there are also various agencies outside of the college, but within the university, that we work quite actively with. So one of the things I'm particularly responsible for in my own role is as disability officer, is liaising with the university's disability advisory service. So students who have disabilities or particular learning difficulties or mental health issues, quite a wide range of conditions actually beyond what people often think of as being disability. That service can often help with assessments, with putting arrangements in place to support studies, and I'm often in touch with how the college can help with that as well. And then we also have a counselling service in the university.
Yes, I was wanting to draw attention to that. You're absolutely right, and they're a very good, relatively quick referral service, and normally would offer a short course of counselling, but can also be very helpful kind of signpost to longer term sources of support as well.
Yeah. So we've discussed a number of different points of contact, and I guess the main takeaway point for students would be that you don't have to talk to all of these people. They are very much intended to create a kind of a mixed and flexible structure of support, so that people, students can approach whoever they feel most comfortable talking to, or whoever's most suitable for their needs. You wouldn't necessarily want to contact the counselling service, for example, if you're just feeling a little bit sad about something on a particular occasion.
No, exactly. I think you're right. There's a wide network of people in the college, and I would also say that one of the nice things about Harris Manchester is it's a particularly friendly and supported place, and so that means really that that anyone here will be pleased to offer help on a friendly ear. Sue Lauren, for example, our librarian, is a great source of support, and that I could do a long list of names, but basically I think the main point is that there are lots of people who are warm and welcoming.
Great, thank you. That's a good note to end that particular discussion on. Thank you, Susannah. Just a couple of questions I'm asking everybody in these interviews that I'd like to end on. The first is, what is your favourite thing about Harris Manchester?
My favourite thing is that everybody here has a story. It's always quite interesting. Why have you come to do your studies at this slightly later stage in life, or sometimes much later stage in life? And there's always a fascinating story behind that. Mm-hmm. And so I really like the fact that everyone's here for a very particular reason, and has often worked extremely hard to get here, and is really making the most of it.
Great. Yeah, I think that's a reason I hear from a lot of people, actually. You can have a lot of interesting conversations finding out about your colleagues' previous experiences. And just a final question, what, if anything, do you remember about your own Freshers' Week?
Well, there was a lot of socialising, but it was quite a lot of socialising on a budget. And so one of the very successful things we did was a big pancake party, because we thought that pancakes were quite cheap to make. You could just need flour and eggs and milk. So I remember cooking pancakes for dozens and dozens of people. So yeah, that's one of my happy memories.
Great. At a top tip for how to inexpensively meet people. Though possibly not when we're having to social distance.
Yes, that's right. Only people in your bubble. But practice for the later, for when life starts to expand further, as it will in the end.
Yes, indeed. Susannah, thank you very much for talking to me.
You're welcome.